Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first ever Spirit Guide for Spirit Island. We're playing board games, and we've been playing board games for a while, and one of those board games has been Spirit Island. We've been having a great time trying to beat all the adversaries at the highest difficulty, and then we were like, we want to do some talkie videos, so this is our first attempt at one of these. It's kind of like a beginner's guide to the spirits. We're going to start with all the Corset guys and go through there, and we got the big boy, Vital Strength of the Earth, to start things off. We're going to reveal this in pieces, so we can kind of like talk about it as they all come.
Yeah.
But this guy has a low complexity, and we are going to probably call him John Rockman for more of this video. So just
at some point.
Yeah. So just get ready for that. Just because Vital Strength of the Earth is there's a lot of words
Also,
there.
it doesn't sound as cool as John Rockman.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Come up with nicknames is part of the fun.
Amen. Especially because their names are just they're too spirity. We need to like. I was going to say westernize them, but I think that kind of destroys the point of the game.
Humanizing them
There
is
we
different.
go. Yeah. So this guy, as we see in the summary of powers, he is very high on defense, which is kind of just like what he does, because rock strong, rock defend. For defense means that you're like defending the lands from taking damage, and then by proxy, blight getting put down. The other thing's a lot lower. He has some offense, some control, some utility, and very low fear. Do any of his starting like cards actually generate fear? Probably not with that case.
I think maybe one of them might.
One of them does.
One of them does. So
Yeah.
there is some there, but he's mostly just here to be a nice, sturdy defense spirit to kind of teach you how to defend.
Great for new players.
Yes. We're not going to read the playstyle here. We're going to kind of be talking about that as it comes, as we go with this. But why don't we dive in and start by first talking about his power, which special rules, which is Earth Vitality. Defend 3 in every land where you have sacred sites.
Yeah,
So
this is where that big defense rating comes from, I think. Just the inherent ability to defend 3 in every land where you have your sacred sites. It's very nice to just ward off random invader attacks, especially at lower difficulties when they don't do like 5 or 6 damage, and
They don't just
a
get
guy
6 points
explodes
for
and then
free
they
or
build
whatever.
they build a town and then that's just 3 damage and you're
Yeah.
like yeah.
yeah, because if you think about it, the defend 3 is going to stop the explorer into build town just by being there. You don't need to put any other resources into it, and it just stops like that very common play pattern you're going to see on the lower difficulties from the explorers. Yeah, so obviously as you're going to be wanting to go through this, you're going to want to build your sacred sites and just kind of have them dotted around the board. And luckily, his growth actually allows him to build sacred sites pretty easily, because while this guy doesn't have like burst putting down presence, where like you can do like multiples at a time, every one of his growth modes allow him to put presence down.
I think this is a big piece of what makes him like a low complexity spirit, because we don't ever really need to think about like, is it worth it to like forestall expanding my presence on the board for something else this turn, because we just always do it.
Yep. Just always going to put it down.
Yep. It's also a big part, I think, of why of the flavor of this character, where Earth is like generally very strong and sturdy and consistent, and Vital Strength of the Earth is very consistent in its play patterns.
Yeah.
You're always putting presence down. You're always going to get further developing your spirit board, or your presence tracks rather. And it's really just a question of like, do I need cards to play this turn? Can I afford to get a new power card, or do I need money?
Yep. And like why it's also so important, then why this guy's really nice, is you don't have to, to add on what you guys were saying, because you don't have to stress about increasing your game state by getting more card plays, getting more energy per turn. You can just like react to what's happening and be where you need to be, which is a big reason why this guy is very easy to play, because as soon as you have to choose between potentially like not putting down presence versus putting down presence, that suddenly adds a big decision point that you need to make as a player.
Yeah.
Onto his presence and his card plays track.
So
This is the other
easy.
part that makes him low complexity, is like, what does putting presence down do? Bigger number, please.
Just number bigger
Yep,
over time. Yeah.
that's it.
More money
what
or
we
more
do.
cards. That's it.
Yeah. And like the nice thing is because you're doing this each time, you can kind of just like go where you need to go. Like if you want to get to card plays quicker, you can use the energy presence from adding presence at the top to get the +2 energy to kind of hold you over. If you want to instead get some economy going, you can just start doing the top one and then start going on the bottom one. And then you can take like the one that gives you more cards more, so you have more choices to make. You can go to major powers quicker. But ultimately, because you're doing it with all of these things, you can kind of just like go with what feels right for the board state that you're going up against, and like the cards that you get into your hand as well. Because like that's something that we can talk about in its own full video, but like what to do, what track when is a huge like
I don't know.
like strategy for this game.
It's also like it's unique to every spirit, right?
Yes,
like,
it's unique to every spirit. It's unique to like who you're fighting as well.
Yeah, for this guy, I think it's fairly important to get to that at least the 2 card plays relatively early.
Yep.
But you also, I think, like that 3 energy is pretty paramount, because as we'll see when we look at his unique powers, 3 of them cost 3, and being able to afford to play one of them every turn is necessary.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think the priority is probably getting to that 2nd card play.
Yes. Yeah. Because I mean, if we talk about it just with the cards in hand, right? Like assume you add a presence and gain 2 energy, right? And then you choose to take like this one off. You gotta play one of your cards in your hand. You're left with 3 cards left in hand, right?
But you're also left with 1 extra energy, which means you'll have 3 next turn.
Yes. So then you could go again. You could even do like that. Get a card, have something else to work with, and then go 2. Maybe you get a minor power that allows you to like be 0 costed, and then you're able to play down 2 cards, and then you could get more money and like do get a thing and then reclaim.
You can also develop this way where you take a +2 energy and add presence on your first turn, then you can play one of the 3 costs, and then you have 1 left over. You can get your 2nd card play, and then take your 2 money and play a 2nd one the next turn.
Yep. There's a lot of
a 0 cost card you found off your power gain, but yeah.
There's a lot of like paths you can take it as well, and then also if someone else can give you powers as well, then maybe you go like also like to get a major and get like that money going quicker too.
Yep.
Most majors you're going to be around like 4 to 6.
Yeah,
so
4 to
getting
6.
to that, if you're going to go with that, is really nice. There's obviously bigger ones that go above that.
Yeah, and like the smallest, there are like 2.
There are some 2 ones, which I think actually might be one of our examples as well. There's a cheap one, All right, on to his innate power, which also stays relatively simple. It's a fast innate power. It can target any spirit. If you have 1 sun, 2 mountain, 2 leaf, once during this turn, target spirit may repeat 1 power card with an energy cost of 1 or less. 2, 3, 2 of the same elements. Instead, this energy cost limit is 3 or less. 2, 4, 3. Instead, the energy cost limit is 6 or less. So, also very simple. Very simple.
Yeah. Importantly here, like we don't have any elements anywhere else on our cards, so we can only get them by playing power cards.
Yeah.
So we can't hit that second threshold until we can play 3 cards.
Yeah.
Barring
unless
a couple of
like there's some weird, there's like unless
powers.
there's something weird going on.
Yeah.
You generally don't expect to do that until you get to 3 cards.
Yeah. And that's a huge part of like how we get stronger as the game goes.
Yes. And then also because that top one requires you to play 2 cards, like without any other circumstances. It's why Travis says it's very nice. Beyond just the fact that more cards win you the game by playing more cards, if you hit that 2, you're essentially getting 3 cards out of it once you hit that, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Why don't we, because we're still in the innate power here, let's just jump into this one where we actually have the innate power and then all of the starting cards here, because this is where you get a good idea. One thing I like to do when I first play a spirit, before I even read the text on the cards, when I'm going through the board, I go the innate power. I look at the element icons on the cards I have to see just how tricky it may or may not be to trigger that off just my cards.
It's so easy. You just need to play all of them.
Yeah, I just need to play them all.
It is nice that lines up like that. But
Yes, yeah. So yeah, like there's the sun is on 2 of the cards, but they're expensive cards. Actually, all of this guy's cards, they're pretty expensive, apart from the 1 cost one.
Yes, and you don't have anything else that's costing you at least 4 energy to hit that first threshold. More than 4 energy. No, 4 energy, yeah. You can play Draw the Fruitful Earth and Rituals of Destruction. And then at least 7 energy for the second one, and then like 10 for the last one. I think that realistically you're not getting the last one in most games. The odds that you're going to be hitting that 4 card plays, and also have the money to play all those cards is unlikely in a lot of cases. But
Yeah, unless somebody's got cards that help you out with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
But that is mostly how this game goes. Like the bottom tier of your power is something to drool over that you won't get to do.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
You might get to do it once,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
But we're mostly trying to play with like the first and maybe the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one's
on,
pretty
on most spirits.
it is quite strong for him as well. All of his 3 cost cards are
They're
quite powerful,
good.
Yeah.
as they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like so here we see like we had like pretty even bars across everything that isn't defense or fear. And that's kind of like what we do here. We've got like
There's
a
a little
card
bit
that
of everything.
defends. We've got a card that manipulates where Dahan and possibly invaders are if they are like the bad one.
Yeah.
Um,
Got utility with the blight
Yeah.
removal. Yeah.
and
Some
like further
utility.
defense with the Year of Perfect Stillness.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
just stops whatever they're doing.
Yeah, and also utility there to also just
Yeah.
get
And we
through all
got
that.
damage.
Yes. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of talk about these cards, just going through them in one by one, so you can also know. 3 costs, Year of Perfect Stillness here. It's a fast 1 range, any target land. Invader skip all actions and target land this turn. Because of your high defense, you could use this for like when they're going to be ravaging, but the real secret is using this for like builds to kind of slow them down on that, because
Yeah.
you're essentially then stopping damage down the road, which can be very nice. It's kind of like circuit beating that to it. You can still use it on defenses, but
Especially in the late game when you can sometimes scum like a ravage and a build, or
Yeah,
a
when
build
they
and
double
yes, when they have a
explore.
double up, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Draw of the Fruitful Earth is our 1 cost slow. Range 1, any land. Gather up to 2 explorers. Gather up to 2 Dahans.
This one's very important for us because, especially being at 1 cost, because the ritual's destruction requires a Dahan in the land it's targeting, and so we need some way to manipulate those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the majority of the offense that we can contribute to the game is by having Dahan fight back in lands that are defended.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to carry over into some of our minor and major recommendations of what to look for on the next one. And also, like, the thing about gathering explorers might seem pretty mid if you're just starting out. Like, why would I want to do that? But in the future, you can actually remove them from...
Lands
One,
that
you can
don't-
move them where they're going to be building
Yep.
next
Yeah.
turn, but also because you're going to be removing them from lands they could be building, you're also bringing them into your zone where you're already defending 3. So you're going to be able to deal with them like even quicker on your own time. Guard the Healing Land is a 3 cost fast. From a Sacred Site range 1, any land, remove 1 blight, defend 4.
This is actually insane. It's a defend 4 and then a defend infinite.
Yes. Yeah, this is something that we often say that a removal of a blight is a defend infinite, because it basically just like nullifies a past attack that someone did.
Yeah, you get free ravage out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like kind of a strong card. Like removing a blight is not quite worth 3. Defending 4 is not quite worth 3. Together they're not quite worth 3, but we get to do it twice sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and especially if you can. I mean, it's bird phase as well,
It is bird.
which is like very strong for most blight removal is turtle. It's at range. It gives you relevant symbols. Like I think this is. You're right. It's not quite worth the
No,
3.
but it
Actually,
would
it's
have.
like
It
2.5.
has to be worth more than 2.
I think if you do
Right.
both, it's worth the 3, but it's like a bad 3 kind of. You know.
Yeah, it's like we're looking at like 2.75 or 2.8
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that. Like it has to be rounded up to 3 because we do not deal in fractional energy. Thank God.
Thank God, yeah.
One day.
One day, yeah. Design, you gotta explore design space, otherwise
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Give me like the
But,
golden ratio as a spirit.
Yeah, like it has to cost 3.
Yeah. And like one thing that's also like really nice again is that this card, because it costs 3, if you hit that second threshold, like then it becomes a lot nicer too, because then you can repeat this and just like get a free like blight removal from something, which is
Yeah, because it's not off
Spicy.
target the same land.
yep.
It's
Yeah.
delicious.
Last card here from his signatures is Ritual's Destruction, 3 cost. Slow from a sacred site range 1, target land with Dahan, 2 damage. If target land is 3 Dahan, plus 3 damage, and 2 fear. Wow, that's 5 damage. I haven't played John Rockman in forever.
Yeah.
That's 5 damage.
Yeah, five is like a very strong 3 turtle card.
Yes.
2 is not a strong 3 turtle card. It's
Yeah.
like an okay 3 turtle card. I
That's
guess.
like functional early in the game. You can
Yeah.
pop a town
Yep.
to keep. So if they do happen, there's a town there and then they build into a city that you have a sacred site on, popping the town makes it 4, and then your 3 defense covers it still.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, and then you can kill it with 2 Dahan, like maybe if you gather them in there before
Yep.
they
Yeah.
ravage.
Yeah.
But 3 money for 5 damage and 2 bonus fear is kind of insane.
Yeah. Like if you have that 3 Dahan, this card is nuts.
Yeah, especially look at how many symbols that card's got. My
It
God.
is
It's got
also
a
worth
lot of
noting
symbols.
that this is the only one that has all of the symbols on it that we need
Yes. Yeah.
for our innate power.
Yeah.
So
That's
we
good.
can
We
play
wanna be playing
this
this card.
and not a Year of Perfect Stillness like one of the other 2 cards that we have in
Yep.
order to hit our threshold for the first tier of our power, which admittedly John Rockman can only do gather twice, which is fine.
Yeah. But your other
Yes, but
teammates
somebody else
probably
might
have
be able to
something
do
nicer.
something real
Yeah.
cool with
Yeah.
it.
He said plant and mountain is not
They are.
a uncommon combination
Yeah.
of symbols for minor powers, and most of them cost 0 or 1.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
plant and mountain and plant and sun are not like they often
Yeah.
are found together.
Mountain and sun don't show up too
Mountain and
often.
sun, yeah, not often unless it also has plant.
Yeah.
One thing as well that is one of the best parts about this game is that the spirits also work really well together. So like if you're playing with the River Surges and Sunlight, they could potentially push Dahan to you. And like this guy really benefits from that. And then even also just like, even if you can only repeat a 1-cost power, you could potentially use that with the Draw the Fruitful Earth to bring multiple guys in there for your Rituals of Destruction and just go like frickin' nuts. And then because of that, you could even potentially start moving around and just have your like nuke going off, boom, 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 every few turns, which is kind of neat.
Yep.
All right, on to just some general recommendations because you don't really like. We're not saying take these
so
ones or
many.
you're gonna lose. There's just a lot of like different choices here that can like really, really work. Just things to look out for. So, Gift of Power, Travis.
Yeah, so Gift of Power gives us 2 of the symbols that we need, the ones that we need the most of in our mountain and our leaf. Target spirit gains a Maya power card. This is a fantastic card to be able to repeat hitting that first threshold. Like being able to, especially if other people are playing spirits that have to choose between developing their presence tracks and developing their power pool. This card is fantastic for them. There's quite a few spirits who benefit from having lots of power cards, and especially being able to shoot them 2 of them is very good. You can also build around that and develop your own power pool. Carapace Land is very much the same in that we already want to have 2 mountains, and you have to target land that you have presence in for the defend, unless there's an animal in the adjacent land, which you might need to play around or have one of your teammates play around. But even that, especially on the higher difficulties, 0 to defend 6, if you have a sacred site there, that's like 9 defend. That's kind of insane for
Yes.
0 mana.
Yeah.
0 money.
Yeah. I flagged elusive ambushes here for 2 reasons. One is to just solidify the fact that this guy's main source of damage is Dahan. So having cards that like defend with Dahan or target in Dahan are just easier to trigger with this guy because that's kind of your game plan.
Yeah, you were already doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Additionally, I also flagged it for the sun, just because you only have 2 of your starting things that are sun. Getting
both
like
cost 3 as
yeah,
well.
getting like a cheap sun that you can also just throw out there, I think is very relevant to this guy in the long term. Might be a bit harder when you have less card plays to make it work, but like as soon as you hit 3 card plays, I think this could be a very nice tool to just round out your innate threshold.
Yep, I think elusive ambushes. The damage is also quite nice.
It's
in that you
fast
can-
1 poke.
Yeah, you can just pick off an explorer or something like that
Yeah.
that you wouldn't otherwise be able to innately defend against.
Yeah. And then we have Tree Speak of War, which has every one of his symbols on it.
Yeah, this is the obvious one for him. You can repeat it when you it moves the Dahan around. It cares about the Dahan, the land. It has all the symbols that you need, which is the obvious one. Like, pick the cards with the symbols that make you do your innate power.
That is kind of just like the most brain dead, easy advice for Spirit Island if you're just starting.
Yeah.
Which is just like, when you're choosing a power, choose the one that has like your elementals on it. Luckily, they
Sometimes defense.
Yeah, and luckily they make it so that you actually like they synergize with your character.
Yep.
It's a very well designed game for that reason.
Yep, and then when we hit the threshold on it, we are going to be naturally. We only need one more mountain to hit our second threshold, and we'll be able to repeat the trees and stones speak of war. So,
yeah, and they push their defend with them, so you have like just so much control over your defend with it.
yeah, you get that like little port. Like, you don't control over your entire island, but wherever you within range 1 of wherever you have a sacred site is going to be very comfortable for you.
Yeah, and I mean like if you do hit that second threshold, like this one's a nice one to repeat to if you want to like
to repeat this one, then the game's probably over.
It's probably pretty good. Yeah,
There was another major
probably
power that
fine.
cost 4 that I chose over this one over that one, just because you could
It's
repeat
easier
it.
to repeat.
Yep.
Yeah. Reasonably.
All right.
Yeah, if you ever get to repeat a 6-costed power, then like,
Yeah, it's game
that's
over for them,
probably
yeah.
like the reason you're only going to get to activate the bottom power part of your powers once is because it probably ends the game. when you
That does let you play a very strong support role as well, where instead of trying to develop your own power pool, you can just mainline your card,
Yeah, you
your
just
bottom
like,
track, and then get to your third tier of Gift of Strength, and then Lightning Bird or whatever, who's playing Talons of Lightning, and just
Yep.
do it twice.
Do it twice. Yeah.
yeah, there's not very many powers that cost that much that won't probably end the game this turn or next.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy's very simple. His concept is like super basic. Just defend 3 where you have sacred sites. So your game plan is simple. It's just get sacred sites on the board. And luckily, because of his steady growth, there's a lot of ways that you can like use your reclaim or your energy growth to put something there, and then the next turn use your add presence for 0, gain a power card. Of course, with the ranges, you can also choose at a range of 0. But like the downside of the gain a power card, which gives you more choices, is the fact that it's only a range of 0 for presence. So use that as like your second part following up to build a sacred site, which can be a good way to play around that.
You can't even play on turn 1 because you get to start with 3 presence out.
That's true. Yeah.
And you can make that second presence into a sacred site and take that power card if you think that that's something that you're going to need. Or if you don't, really it's if you don't need to play one of the 3 cost cards in your first or second turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of where you're at.
But yeah, he's a great spirit for new players, and his name is John Rockman, and he's made of rocks.
For
He's just kind of fun.
experienced players too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually might
like
play him
just-
today because we just talked about him.
We're
So.
like,
Just hyped up for it.
Yeah, incredibly,
I'll play John
incredibly
Rockman.
simplistic, but like very strong.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Very
know,
strong.
without feeling unfair.
Yes.
Made
So-
of rocks.
Yeah. Rock
Like-
strong.
Out of design, like probably an 8 out of 10 for this.
Oh,
one,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
good.
Maybe a 7 out of 10 just because he doesn't have that second innate power. Could use like a little something.
Nah, he's good.
Okay.
John Rockman's gonna crush you now that you criticized him.
Yeah.
Just the John.
No.
Just comes and crushes Travis. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. In 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about Thunderbird, and I want to see if you know who that is that we're talking about.
It's like a little puppet guy. He's gonna get on a rocket. It's the whole thing.
That's cool.
So, we'll see you guys all then. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, and as always, a GG's.